I'm Dr. Larry Burchett. I'm an ER doctor on the front lines of this coronavirus crisis. And I'm joined today by lawyer Suzanne Natbony, who is a general counsel. Suzanne, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Larry.
Suzanne, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you wanted to do this interview.
So I am a business lawyer. I'm general counsel for a med spa, and I'm also emphasized in healthcare law. I also have a startup company where we put out videos that help people with their legal issues. It's called Law Take. So as soon as the coronavirus pandemic hit, I was looking to connect with Larry to do a video about medical and legal issues based on my background.
That's great. Where can people find this? Is it a website, or where can people find the information that you're putting out there?
Well, I am actually partner of Alliant law firm, alliantlaw.com, and we put out articles on that website. And then I'm also, I have my own firm, solveandwin.com. I put out some content there. And then lawtake.com, short for Law Takeover, is the website where we have a number of videos and documents that are either free or low cost to help people with their legal issue. And this video will eventually be uploaded either there or on the YouTube channel.
Nice. Suzanne, you're a lawyer. Do you have any legal disclaimers you'd like to lead with?
Of course.
Please.
Yes. Obviously the information in this video is just information. It's not advice. It doesn't represent any of the firms or entities that I practice for, and you should consult a lawyer about any decision you decide to make.
I agree, and I want to echo the same thing for my profession as well. Just replace legal with medical. Suzanne, what have you been, so you do like business law, business stuff. What are you seeing these days? Like, what are businesses and people coming to you with during the coronavirus pandemic? What's it like?
Well, initially it was extremely busy because I still have clients that are working in essential businesses that are allowed to continue to operate. So a lot of questions as far as what to do about employees. There's all sorts of questions with concern about contracting the virus via their customers or clients and employees. And then so revising policies and procedures to have increased teleworking, and also better equipment, new procedures if they are having to go to work or visit premises. So there was an onslaught of that, as well as other businesses that have pivoted to enter into this space. Maybe they're changing from, their real estate places are empty, so they're utilizing it to now sell essential goods instead. So they pivoted in terms of what they're doing and, the legalities of that. And so now it's a matter of getting back into business now that the orders hopefully will be lifted soon and people can return to work.
Give me some examples. You talked about employee issues. Give me some examples. One of the questions that we had for you was, suppose somebody is an essential worker and they, have to go to work at the grocery store or whatever, but they don't feel comfortable. They're worried that they're going to be at risk for getting coronavirus and they don't want to. Can they be fired? What are their rights? What can the business do? What are some of the kind of legal implications of all that?
Well, first I want to mention that I am a business transactional lawyer, so I put a lot of policies and procedures in place to prevent disputes. I work with my client and the other party to achieve win-win results in those contracts. So when clients come to me and they say this employee is having a problem, I'm not going to be quick to say, well, you can fire them. Litigators, they're more into, sue your employer if you have a problem, or let's see where there's a lawsuit here. I am more interested in, what does that person do? How essential are they to your business? Is there any way that you can offer them the paid time off that they're entitled to? There's many state and federal laws right now that enable people to take additional time off, and they can use that. They can be furloughed. So really, the business needs to make those financial decisions on how important is that employee and what can they do with them. And then at the end of the day, if this person is maybe working from home but not producing like they should be, maybe they have distractions of childcare. The employer can continue to work with the employee, but at the end of the day, if the employee is an at-will employee, meaning that the employer or the employee can terminate at any time, the employer could terminate the employee as long as it's not for an illegal purpose such as discrimination. Right. So many of my clients are working with their employees, trying to keep them on. Perhaps they have temporarily terminated them, planning on rehiring once the business is back open. But it is obviously a delicate situation when you have, the employees may have childcare issues. They may not want to get the virus because they're taking care of elderly people. So really try to work with, I advise clients to avoid disputes and try to work with the employee if they can.
Yeah, I like that perspective. I feel like I was expecting, like the kind of litigator thing where it's just, I thought you were going to be, I don't know what I thought you were going to say, but I like that, and it makes sense to me to have a contract in place to prevent all of this stuff so that it kind of spells out. I mean, I can't imagine that in a lot of your contracts you had like, oh, if a viral pandemic should happen to go all over the world, this is what happens in our business.
Right. So it's not going to say that specific language of a pandemic, even if there's a force majeure clause in the contract. There are also employee contracts where you hire an employee for a certain term and then you can terminate them for cause. You may have seen that with one of your contracts if you've been an employee, because I see that more frequently with physicians and nurses. So some of the reasons for cause may be almost like a frustration of purpose argument. They cannot afford to sustain this business, and so they may utilize that clause if they needed to terminate an employee. But most people, again, that I've seen with my practices are trying to work with their employees. It's not like people flat out trying to get out of there.
So it sounds like a lot of that is from kind of the employer or the business owner perspective. Tell me a little bit about what kind of rights that individual employees have in this time who may be worried that they are going to be fired or furloughed. Is there anything they can do?
Well, yeah, I do counsel some employees through this sort of transition process, and if it seems like they were fired unlawfully, then I would refer that out. But during this process, it's important, if you have a complaint, there should be grievance procedures in the handbook. So the employee would make that complaint, and so things need to be in writing. I asked for personal protective equipment, and I was not provided anything. I asked to go home because I felt sick and I was told to stay at work. Certain things like that are not going to look good if you end up getting fired or if you want to terminate because your environment is so unstable to work in or risky to work in.
God, I mean, you bring up that personal protective equipment, that PPE thing, and it just immediately touches that nerve in medicine where so many people on the front lines, nurses and doctors and therapists and so forth, feel like there really is inadequate PPE provided. And then doctors, I mean, when I was in New York, there was an ICU doctor, unfortunately, who was intubated in the ICU. He's an ICU doctor, and he got sick with coronavirus, and he ultimately died. He was in his 60s. All of the residents and staff really loved him, and it was really, really sad. But that just made me think of that, where it's like, gosh, could somebody have a case? Like, that's a tough thing. That's a tough thing.
Right. Claims against the employer for negligence in terms of the conditions of work are something that I would refer out, but it would be fact specific. The lawyer would determine or look for evidence that showed that there was just complete breakdown by the employer to provide, OSHA standards, CDC guidelines. They should be looking at those standards, and I'm not sure how those lawsuits are going to come out. But